Hi guys, it's me, SB Studs, back with another video. Basically, if you saw my video exactly from a week ago, then you'll know that me and Crystal Bricks are running a MOC and stop motion contest. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, there is a link to that video in the description below. Basically, you guys can either make a MOC or a stop motion, and it has to be including LEGO obviously, and then you can either get a shout out or money if you win. So you guys should probably check it out, and I highly recommend it because it can be a great opportunity. But anyway, Crystal Bricks has been handling the MOC side of the competition, while I've been handling the stop motion side of the competition. So today I've just come up with a tutorial video for just some tips, tricks, and the basics of stop motion with LEGO. But before I talk about those tips, tricks, and basics, the YouTube gods on Mount Olympus have told me that only about 3% of you guys are actually subscribed. So if you guys want to see more LEGO news videos, mock showcases, and more, then go down below and destroy that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Thanks to Battle Movies, who is our most recent subscriber. And while you're down there in the description, drop a like on this video. Let's try and get to 10 likes. But with all of that out of the way, enjoy today's MOC. So, there's 3 basic things that you'll need if you want to make a stop motion. The first is the set, the second is the camera, and the third is the lighting. Let's start with the set. So every set needs a base, and for my stop motions I use one of the large light grey base plates, just because they're larger and they have more room and you don't have to extend them. But really any other plate will do. And then what I do is I just build a set on, and I normally like to put a little bit of effort into my sets. Don't put too much stuff in, because normally your animations won't take that long in that set. It might only go for like a couple of minutes at most, but normally like mine's go for like 30 seconds for one set. So, you know, you don't want to like put too much effort into them, but I normally put a little bit of snot in. As you can see here, I've used a bit of snot to create the walls, but just make sure that you're not wasting so much time on the set, because honestly people aren't too interested in the set, they're normally interested in the story and stuff like that. Just a pro tip, with the building the set, it doesn't have to be perfect, like you don't have to have like smooth bricks on the back. Only build what the audience can see. As you can see here, the back of this set is just all bumpy and lumpy, but since the audience doesn't see it, I just don't care that much, and it just doesn't matter really. Another pro tip is to tape down your set. This was one I did actually do in some of my first animations, and basically just led to shaky camera angles, and it led to a lot of camera movement that I just didn't want, and that just was a complete nightmare. So just make sure that your set doesn't move. Okay, now let's get onto camera. So first of all, I'll address something that I think that people think a lot when they see other stop motion filmers doing, and they think that they need a DSLR or another camera like that. The answer is no, you don't. It is perfectly okay to use an iPhone or an iPad or something else like that that has a camera app on it. Because in the end, really, I think that stop motion is all about storytelling, not necessarily how good it looks. So don't worry if you don't have a $1,000 DSLR camera. It's just going to be okay if you use your iPad or your iPhone. I personally use my iPad, and I've downloaded this app called Stop Motion Studio Pro. There is a free version, but the Pro version, there's only one payment, so it's not like a monthly payment, and then you also get some other perks. And I just use it because I think that it's pretty awesome, and it's just given me lots of options that are quite easy and accessible on the iPad. Just when you're doing your camera, make sure that it stays completely still, and you've got it packed tightly with LEGO. Like you'll see, I've used these plates to make sure that it doesn't move at all, because you'll notice that an iPad is actually thinner than a stud, so if you just do like one brick on either side, it will move. So that's just something that you might want to look out for. Also, if you do have an iPhone, I'd much more recommend that than an iPad. I just don't have an iPhone, and an iPhone just makes it a bit easier to reach over, and there's not that risk of knocking over the iPad. So, pro tip with that is on your camera stands, I would recommend putting some hinge bricks just so you can change the angle of the camera, because sometimes you want it looking down on your minifigures, sometimes you want it straight, sometimes you want it looking up, and that just gives you a bit of mobility if you put in those hinge bricks, like you see here. And just another tip is, if you do have some of the Apple headphones, or assume other headphones, that have that sort of console on the wire that lets you change the sound, plug that into your iPad, because then that will actually take photos for you if you press the plus or negative button, because that basically it means that you aren't touching your camera when you're taking the photo, which can lead to some again wonky camera angles and cause camera movement, which you don't want. So that's just a pretty good pro tip to keep in mind. Finally, we have our last thing, lighting. Basically, you want to get some lamps, and then you'll want to place them around so that they light up your build, or your set, I guess. I like to have two, because it makes sure that there's no shadows, because shadows can be a huge problem when you're doing some more advanced techniques. I would also recommend, in fact, it's actually not a recommendation, it's a must really, that you close your blinds, because if you let in natural light, it'll cause natural light flicker, and that's caused by clouds going in front of the sun. And as you can see here, there's light flicker, and the light isn't constant. So basically, that's just what you gotta do. And you can also get different color bulbs, so I recommend that if you're filming something outside, so if you're doing stop motion outside that's supposed to be outside, then you'll use yellow light. If you're doing something at night, or in, say, this is a Republic vessel, then you would use white light. So, that's kind of how light works. Okay, so now that you've set up your animation rig, let's actually talk about what stop motion is. Stop motion is the act of taking a picture and then moving what's in the frame of the camera and then taking a picture again. And then you basically just repeat that a bunch of times until you have this fluid moving picture. And it's essentially just animation. So if any of you know how animation works, just picture, 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 looks like it's moving. And that's actually how the human eye works. The human eye actually, every millisecond, takes a picture and it creates a fluid sense of motion. And that's why animation has this charm to it, because it's not real. It's doesn't look completely fluid, but it's fluid enough to look like it's moving. So it's kind of uncanny in a way. But anyway, just as an example, I'm going to show you how to do just this very, very basic animation. I'm basically going to have this first order speeder move across the screen. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some blank frames, just because I want to have a period before the speeder comes along. Then I'll put like the speeder like just a little bit, like maybe like half a stud into the frame. And then I'll move that speeder another half stud. And then another half stud. And then another half stud. And in between those movements, I'll take a picture. And then after I've repeated that just a bunch of times, I will have this. And this is basically the pure incarnation of stop motion. That it's just pictures, moving in what's in the frame, pictures, what's moving in the frame. Yeah, so that's just how stop motion works. So yeah guys, that's the end of today's tutorial. Comment down below if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, as I'd love to hear if it did. Also, as I said before, if you want to join the MOC/stop motion contest, there is a link in the description if you want to have a chance to win some money or a shout out. Also, I am on Instagram, where I post sneak peeks and tutorials for my videos, so if you want to follow me, my username is sb_studs. Also, if you want to ask me any questions about LEGO or YouTube in general, then feel free to DM me. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Toodles!